Up until Les Mis, I had played the piano for all of our shows, but I knew that Les Mis really needed the sound of an orchestra. We decided to rent the new Orc Extra system, which was a computer programmed score that I could control with a MIDI keyboard. We rehearsed the show with backing tracks, and I received the Orc Extra system 3 weeks before our first performance. I spent a few hours learning how to use it, and suddenly we had our orchestra sound. I'll never forget that moment when I was standing in the wings at the Nate Holden ready to go on stage, and we all heard the first few chords start playing. Michelle Stone and I looked at each other and we both whispered, "Oh my God, we're doing Les Mis." It felt completely real only at that moment. And since then, whenever we've produced a show that had orchestra, we've used it.
Right around the time of our production of Les Mis, the movie came out with Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe. And right at the corner of Washington and La Brea, there were all these posters for the movie. And every time I went to the theater, I thought, wow, what great publicity for us. And then I eventually saw the movie, and I said to myself, I think that we did just as good, if not better.
Working with the barricade was one of the hardest parts about Les Mis. When we finally got to the theater, we all had to figure out where we were standing, and I was at the very top. So for the death scene, when I had to fall over the front of the barricade, or I guess onto the back of the barricade, I didn't realize how far I fell, and I ended up pulling a muscle, and I had to sit there for the next 20 minutes for Dahlia to sing her song, or at least it felt like 20 minutes.
The lovely Mandy Landy, who is mother to our wonderful Cosette, who during dress rehearsals looked at me and said, "Dahlia, your shoes." I was wearing jazz shoes. You know, it's very comfortable to walk around stage. Why are you wearing jazz shoes? It makes your feet look so tiny on stage, not very manly. So I had to run out that week and go to Payless shoe stores. I think of blessed memory. I don't think it exists anymore. And I had to buy these like very manly work boots, work shoes that were very clunky, but they were much more manly. And these are the trials and tribulations of women trying to play men on the stage. It's not as easy as it looks.
For the show, I think I had to buy boots for it because I didn't own any, and those boots wound up being my favorite boots ever. I still own them. I wear them all the time. I can't find another pair of boots like them. But yeah, I hold on to them, and I wouldn't have bought them without JWRC. So thank you, JWRC, for community, for theater, and for my boots.
There was a moment where my shoe broke, and I had to figure out a way to get back on stage with a broken shoe. So I took some tape and I put it together and hoped for the best, and it worked out okay. But afterwards I had to throw the shoes out.
What most people don't know about my being cast as the female villain in Les Mis is that when I went to audition, I auditioned with Disney's Little Mermaid, Part of Your World, such a sweet and endearing song, and somehow I still managed to end up the villain.
If you have ever wondered what it's like to mispronounce your own character's name while that character is experiencing their most dramatic moment on stage, then fear no more. You can now witness it. Javert was on stage, having his final moment with the audience, contemplating good versus evil, and ultimately determining that the world could not exist with both Valjean and Vager. That was a painful moment for me when I mispronounced Javert's own name on stage. But then again, maybe not. Maybe there is a Vager. Maybe everyone has an internal alternate version of themselves. And maybe that's what Javert was really fighting, his own Vager. So, think about it.
On my way to the theater opening night, I slipped in the rain, fell downstairs, and broke my tailbone. But the show must go on, so I headed to the theater and came up with a new way to die in my death scene so that I wouldn't be falling on my backside.
I remember Dahlia Carr wearing a hilarious white wig during the dress rehearsal.
I did discover in doing Les Mis my own failings in trying to multitask. I was supposed to come out for turning with my little candle and everything to be part of the women. And I had a line. I had my own little line in the song, and I was like, my moment, right? And of course, it was the show that my family was there and like my mother-in-law was there. And I was so concerned with getting everyone set up, making sure everyone had their mics, making sure everyone had their candles. I walked on stage without my mic on. Not like turned on, like the whole pack, not on my body at all. And I was like, okay, well, everyone else is fine, but I'm going to be the one who has to project to the back of this theater now because not only do I not have it on, I know I don't have it on.
Honestly, when I heard we were doing Les Mis, I kind of dreaded it. I was definitely not one of those Les Mis-aholics that the other people were. Before the show, I warned my kids that they might be bored, and I armed them with a full plot summary in advance. Well, the joke's on me. They loved it so much on opening night that they voluntarily came to all 3 shows. And I have to say, somewhere along the line, it really grew on me, too.
The fun fact that comes to mind is that Les Mis was either the first or second show where in the choreography I had to jump on top of Sharon Reiner's back, who played Grantaire. And I did that in so many JWRC shows for some reason that at one cast party I got her a back massager.
I've had some quick changes in my theater career before, but never have I had to change so quickly from one wig to another wig. After Fantine sells her hair, I had about 15 seconds to get on my short wig and back on stage so everybody could see that I had sold my hair. And most of the time in rehearsals, didn't work out so well, but luckily by the time we got to the show, worked every time.
When Shira's character goes over the barricade to get us more ammunition and she ends up getting killed, it was potentially one of the hardest scenes to get through. I think there wasn't a dry eye the first few times we did it because it was just so powerful and so hard to listen to.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm not Jewish.
What?